Okay, so we're here with Jazz from the UK and Betty from Guatemala. So, we're on here to kind of chat and talk about traveling and missionary stuff and everything. So, yeah, welcome, welcome. All right, so let's start off with Jazz. Tell us a little bit about you, your channel, and your experience with traveling.
Yeah, hey Nyesha, hi Betty. So nice that we're talking about that. I'm a traveler, I'm a nomad, and so my channel is all about traveling. It's about discovering what this world has to offer, and also to show people that traveling is not just for a specific, like an elective type of people, it's for everyone. People always think that traveling is too expensive. It's only people that have money that can travel. I don't have a lot of money at all. I save, I backpack as a 50 years old. And so that's what my channel is all about, is that, uh, also being 50 doesn't life doesn't stop there, life start at 50. And the saying of my channel is now travel is the new retirement plan, because I
Nice.
don't plan in retiring. My retirement plan is going around the world and meeting beautiful people, learning great culture, languages, testing the food, the great food that this world has to offer. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. Well, thank you, Jazz. Okay, Betty, tell us a little bit about your channel and your experience.
Well, I've been living in Guatemala. That's part of what my channel's about, but it's made a big difference in just kind of the way I see things. But living in Guatemala now for about like 28 years and came here as a missionary in one situation with a husband and a couple of teenagers. And now through the years, everything just kind of changes around.
Mhm.
And I guess you could say that the thrust of my channel basically is the fact that no matter your age, no matter what your situation is, you can still grab a hold of things and make it work. You can thrive. And that some people they want to give up after a certain age. Just saying no. There's always time uh, to grab a hold of life, really, and work on making it better. Whether it's here, I talk about health, and I talk about mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and just how we can go on and get everything out of life that we need to get everything that's there for us. So that's what I'm about.
Nice. Thank you, Betty. So what I'm gathering here from all of us is even if we make it up that hill up to 50 or older or whatever, it doesn't go downhill from there. It keeps going uphill and you keep going. And yeah, I'm learning that, it doesn't stop there at all.
Yeah, I feel like it gets better. I always say 50 is a superpower. Getting older is a superpower. I would not want, even if you pay me, to go back at my 30s, where you're trying to find who you are, you're trying to
Yeah.
please everyone. Such a struggle at 50, even at 40. 50 is like, to me, it's like, I just love being 50 plus. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I have 2 more years till I'm that age. So,
Yeah.
I think I can remember what 50 was like. That was a long
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I'm a few months away from being 70. Can you
Yeah.
believe
Uh,
it?
And that is
it,
just crazy.
it
Just
is.
crazy. I have met so many amazing people that I'm like, "Oh, you're my new best friend," and everything. And then I'm like, "So how old are you?" I think you're like in your late 50s. And they're like, "Oh, we're in our late 60s. We're early 70s." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
No." So, yep. I don't
Yeah.
know. Everybody's looking younger.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so do you all have questions for me about what Nick and I do?
My question is sort of about what you do, but it's more, what can you see what the difference is between what you had in mind when you started off with this journey and how things have actually ended up? If it's coming out different than you thought, how do you feel about that?
So when we first set out on this, it was just basically with me, I kept an open mind. That's what I try to do is always keep an open mind and have no expectations or anything like that. So for me, I really didn't have a vision of what it was going to be like or anything. Um, we went down there and started learning Spanish and stuff like that. But I will say that it was a little different than what I was hoping for, I guess, at the moment because we're there to learn Spanish and I wanted to be more immersed into helping people and which I get to do every once in a while, but the main focus is school. So, um, it's like, okay, well, I gotta really learn the language for sure if I'm gonna be able to, get out there and help people. And um, that way, when I am helping people, they can actually tell me what they need or whatever, and I'll understand what they're saying. So it like I said, I had an open mind, no expectations, so really it's not a big difference for me, but it is with the schooling, it was a little harder than what I was thinking, I guess. Learning a new
Yeah.
language. I was thinking maybe once we get down there, we're gonna learn, and then within the 8 months, I will be speaking pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. No, I am not, and it's a struggle for me. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, Jazz.
When you shared about your learning, because I also wanted to join and come to learn because my dream has always been to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
But when Nyosha told me about how they were learning full time, I'm like, do they have a part time? Because I didn't think I could cope. And yeah, my question is about, doing God's work, right? So being missionaries, it's like you have to forsake and leave your own dreams, your own want to follow God's will
Yeah.
and, whatever pathway God wants for you. I'm really interested to hear how you went about that. And also because it's both of you, you and your husband, how that calling came to both of you. And, how did you went about discussing it? It was an easy process to accept to leave family, all behind to follow God's plan. That is, you have to have a lot of faith.
Hmm.
And yeah, I find this amazing. So yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
So we actually had planned on selling our homes because we had our home and we had a rental home, and we had already planned on selling those and all our stuff and everything because we were gonna move, and we're like, the thing is when we went and visited Tennessee, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, we just fell in love with it and we fell in love with the nature and everything, and so that just really put a little spark in us. And we already, both of us in our separate lives, have always said we will not stay in Kansas. So, so it was kind of nice that we both had that same mindset and everything. Um, but when we came back and we decided to sell things, we decided we're gonna kind of, go off to Branson, Missouri or something. we found an RV actually, and we're like, well, we'll just do the RV life, and which I'm in the RV right now. Um, but we had planned, well, we'll just travel the states and everything. We just didn't know how God was a part of that though. That was our plan, you know? And we're like, we don't know what God wants us to do through that if that's our plan. And so we kept praying and praying over it and everything. And um one day we were supposed to go on a mission trip down to Mexico with our church, and we ended up not being able to make it because we're like, we need to save money because we're moving. So we're not going to be able to make it. Um, but when the pastor comes back, he felt he needed to tell us something or tell Nick something, you know. And he's like, I feel like I'm supposed to tell you this, but they are looking for someone to start the automotive program down there in Mexico. And Nick's like, that's nice for somebody else, not me. And so anyways, he just kind of shrugged it off and went about his way. A couple of weeks later, we're meeting with the pastor and we're just kind of chatting and everything, and all of a sudden I was like, "What? Oh, what?" And they're looking at me and I'm like, "I think I know where we're supposed to go." Because we were planning on going to Branson and then going to Quartzsite, Arizona, and things like that. And I said, we're supposed to go south. And Nick's like, south? That's because you want to go south. I was like, no, I wanted to go to Quartzsite, Arizona, you know, for the winter and everything. And I said, I don't know where south, but and I'm thinking in my head, south, Oklahoma or Texas. I don't know, but I just know south. And we kept doing our little conversation with the pastor and everything. And then during the praying out and everything, right after that, Nick lifted his head and he said, I feel like I know what you were meaning by south. I'm like, what what do you mean? He said, we're supposed to go to Oaxaca, Mexico. I'm like, what? No, I just said south, that's all. And so that's just where it all started right from there. And we prayed over it some more and everything. And we just really, God gave us that peace about that's where we need to go. Because before, we really were questioning, what is God wanting us to do? And, you know, everything like that. And we weren't very motivated as far as selling stuff, getting rid of things at all. But once this occurred, it was like, boom, we were motivated to sell and everything. And it wasn't our plan to go to Mexico, you know? So from there we ended up going, okay, we're moving to Mexico. That's the plan. That's what God wants us to do. We were told you need to go visit before you ever decide to move. It's like, well, God told us to do it, so we're going. But okay, we'll go visit. So we did. We visited for 3 days down there, and we both got the calling of we got to learn Spanish. We need to be in the Spanish school. So we applied to be in the Spanish school down there and everything. We came back and we started selling things, and both our houses had went on contract in the same week to sell. It's just like, okay, yep, this is God's timing because this is definitely not our choice. So, um, so yeah, from there we sold the houses and we were thinking October was when we would probably be done doing everything to be able to move down there. No, we were done by August and we were down there in August. It's like, wow, that was quick. So, but it's always God's timing. It's his timing is perfect. And so we made it down there and started learning Spanish and that's yeah.
Yeah. And it's incredible to see your journey, but how was the adaptation? Did you ever thought before that? Because going from the US to Mexico, even if they're like, it's a big culture change,
Yeah,
right? How,
it
how
sure
was the
is.
adaptation for both of you and the families and everything?
Yeah. So, we got down there and when we first got there and we started moving stuff from our car into the house, we were like sweating because we're down there on the beach, we're just a mile from the beach really. And then on the other side of us, about a mile and a half from us was the mountains. So there was no breeze, nothing, and it was just humid and hot, and we're sweating and sweating. We're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. So with the climate, it was a little bit to adapt to. And but your body acclimates to it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting how our bodies can handle stuff. So with that, and then as far as the culture, it's very loud down there. So I'm the type of person that always liked it quiet. I mean, I love playing my music and stuff, but if it's bedtime, it's gonna be quiet. I gotta have a fan going for a little bit of a noise, and it has to be very dark and cool in the room for me to sleep well. And that was definitely a culture shock for me down there. Um,
Yeah.
we we would go to sleep, but there's a light shining in our room because the neighbor, they have to have their porch light on because their bedrooms are in this little area, but their bathroom is over here, so they have to walk outside to go to their bathroom. And so they have to have their porch light on to be able to see where they're going in the middle of the night. And so that would shine in our bedroom. We had to have our shutters open because it was super hot to have them closed. There's no air conditioning. And so we had to have the shutters open to get some kind of a maybe coolness through the night. So that's why the light was shining in, but it was hot. And then on top of that, you have people doing fireworks anytime. Or they're playing loud music like they're celebrating anytime through the night, or they're announcing things at 4 o'clock in the morning, or roosters are crowing at 1 o'clock in the morning. And so, whew, that was definitely a culture shock for us all the way through with the everything loud in Mexico. But we got used to it. We did say a lot on our videos. We're like, man, it's loud here. We're not used to this. And yeah. So, um, and then the culture in itself, whenever we're walking around, it was just nice to see people out and about. I That's something I love, and it's something I do not like about in Kansas at least. I think most of the states, but you don't see people out and about a lot. You don't see little kids outside playing anymore. They're not out riding their bikes and things like that. Down there, they're outside all the time. The kids are like 5 years old walking down to the tienda to buy something and take back home. I mean, because here in the States, it's like you don't feel safe to let your kids play outside by themselves or walk down to the store by themselves or, whatever. So I really did enjoy that. And when you do cross somebody's path, it's always buenos dias or buenos tardes, buenos dias, buenas tardes, or, whatever. They're always like good morning, good evening, things like that. Here, if you pass by somebody, they just keep on their own path. And so, yeah. So there are pros and cons and when you first go down there and then you learn to adjust, right? So,
Yeah.
So, anyways.
When I first saw the apartment because I wanted to come there, I
Uh-huh.
was like, okay, for me it's just bugs. Like, you and the tarantulas, no. I don't mind the bare minimum, but I want everything to be shut so well that nothing can enter. How did
Right.
you adjust to that? Because it's natural. This is what I love watching your videos. It's like you've done it your entire life. You feel comfortable with people, with the dogs following you, with the kids, with the people.
Yeah. Yeah. I love hearing this. I and that's one thing about doing the YouTube channel is we put videos out and people comment, but we don't get to hear exactly, what they're enjoying and stuff like that. So that definitely helps to hear that. Um, so growing up, I've had the best of both worlds in a sense. So I was born in Wichita, Kansas, so a city. And so I got to learn city life. But my mom grew up on a farm. Okay, so we still have that family farm. So we were down there quite a bit. And then we ended up moving to San Diego, huge city. But we
Mm.
crossed the border and went to Tijuana all the time. So I got to enjoy the culture as a young child going down there to Tijuana, Baja California and everything. I really enjoyed it. And then in San Diego, I learned the city life there, the beach life and everything. Then we moved back and we lived on the farm. So, living on the farm, we had all our animals to feed. We had calves to feed and but you can't be in a sense afraid of bugs and and everything like that because on the farm you're gonna deal with that. And we went camping a lot. We even went camping when we were in California and stuff like that. So like I said, I had the best of both worlds, so I got to understand both situations. And I don't know, my mom would pick up snakes off the side of the road. She'd, oh, there's a snake. So she'd go pick it up. So I got
Right.
to hold tarantulas when I was a little girl. I held a Balboa snake and everything. So that's kind of, I think since I did that as a little girl, it made me less scared of that kind of thing. So being down there in Mexico, that's why it looks natural because I'm used to the country kind of life, even though that's not like a country life, but scorpions I don't like. I've never experienced them as a young girl. So I just know they sting and I don't want to be stung. um but Nick takes care of the scorpions and I take care of the tarantulas for him. So
It's a good balance.
it is a great balance. So one thing that I realized as we lived down there and everything, I feel like I'm continuously camping. And camping is fun to me. I love the outdoors. I love the simpleness of it all. Being in a house and being in town and things like that. Oh, before you come over, let me clean my house, things like that. But when you're camping, it's like, there's not much to clean. And so down there, it's kind of like that. There's not a lot to clean. There is some, but it's not because we're living simple. We don't have a lot of stuff and it's not overwhelming us. The other way of life is overwhelming and stressful and down there it's not. So, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. We could do as a society with less. We
Hmm.
consume way too much.
Yeah, that's one thing I do enjoy, having my small car and everything is like, well, I guess we need to take just the necessities.
Well, just thinking about belongings and stuff, and just the fact that when you change your environment, your situation completely, I guess that also changes your priorities
Yes.
about not just the physical stuff, but the mental stuff, and seeing life from a different perspective when you're a distance away from family and anywhere you grew up. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's provoked some thoughts in you guys of feeling kind of different about things than you used to.
When we're down there in Mexico, we can be ourselves, our true selves. Like, we don't have to put on a facade or anything like that. Because up here in the States, it's like wherever you go. When we came back from Mexico, I felt a little out of place because of what I was wearing, you know. I was wearing more modest stuff, but yet not, I wasn't dressed up, you know, and other people are dressed up, and I I'm not, I don't know. I'd much rather be down there where, hey, they don't judge you by what you wear and, you know, things like that. They're all about relationships down there. And I do, I like that. Up here, it's all about what do you do for work? And um, you got to be at work 24/7, you know. Oh, you got to get your kids to, you know, here and there. You're just busy and you're going places and everything. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to explain, but down there, it's just the mindset's so much different. It's more of a, I don't know. I feel more relaxed down there. It's like, whew. And I'm glad that I can just be the person I am and not have to worry about impressing people and things like that.
So it's more basics
Yeah, exactly.
life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like even clothes, you know, I up here I had a whole closet or more of clothes. Down there it's just you live simply, you know, you just have your necessities.
Yeah, we should come back to that. And I can relate to that when I go to Africa in my farm. It's the
Yeah.
place where I feel the best.
Yeah.
Because it's true, you don't have to impress. In the cities, it's like everybody need to dress up to do this and do that. There,
Yeah.
you don't have to. You with nature, with, the
Yeah.
simplicity of life. The food and everything come from the trees, and
Hmm.
I just adore it. And you will see that when I'm in Africa, in that environment, I don't even have my phones on anything. I'm rarely on social media, and you don't even miss it at all.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's you wake
Exactly.
up with the roosters.
Yeah.
It's different. It's a different world, and that's what this is why I love watching you. The simplicity of your life is just amazing, and I think it's if you see the movement of these people going. Off grid, these people doing the van life. It's a bit like trying to go back to what was, you know.
Right.
And I was almost smiling when you were talking about people there, they prioritize relationships. I
Hmm.
had a joke in my head coming like, relationship was that? Unless you are online, because everything is
Right.
done now online.
Yep.
People don't talk. You see people at restaurant everywhere. Everybody else on the phone. People can't
Yes.
even communicate anymore. Sometimes with my kids, they're like sending me a message. I'm like, can you come downstairs, talk to me?
Right. Exactly. I remember
You
those
know?
days.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's just beautiful to see your experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are rooted for a simpler life. Life,
Yeah.
we make it way too complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you are so right about the whole phone thing and everything. At restaurants around here, it's like you can see people sitting there at the same table and they're on their phones. Um, down in Mexico, it's not like that at all. And I think part of it is, at least where we are, you don't have complete access to the internet. There's not the Wi-Fi available and stuff. And so you've got to set your phone down and talk. So, but
Yeah.
it's helpful to not have that 24/7 access to the Wi-Fi. But people do. I mean, they'll, like, I went to the birthday party and nobody was on their phone. They were actually all just chatting it up, and it was nice to see that. Yeah, at the restaurants down there, everybody's sitting there talking, and it's kind of like the old days in a sense.
Yeah.
So, but and I just really enjoy it out down there. It's a nice, I don't know. It's also a good way to reset your life too. But and I've noticed that coming back up here, I still have that mindset, but yet it's hard to keep that mindset up here, you know? It's weird. So, but anyhow, I have questions for you all as well. So, um, Betty, my question for you is, what's your favorite thing about Guatemala?
Oh, that could be kind of hard. But I guess one of my favorite things would possibly be, for some people, their least favorite thing.
Uh,
And that's the fact that you never know what to expect.
yeah, yeah.
And so if you look at that in a positive way, it can be like, well, things could get really good. But I'm just with specific little things. There, there's always room for a good service. I, I guess I kind of think of it as kind of like the Wild West,
Uh-huh.
because things aren't so controlled that you know that this can't happen or this must
Mm,
happen. You're just kind of just waiting to see, and sometimes that is negative, because like I remember it was like a year and a half ago that I needed to take a trip to Thailand, and I was all set and ready to go, and they were getting ready for an election, and there were some political things going on, and the whole country organized roadblocks all over the
mhm,
country. And it's like 3 hours for me to get to the airport. So all of a sudden, I'm locked in, literally locked into my neighborhood, and
mm.
all the roads were blocked, and I could not get anywhere. There were no planes. There was just
Oh
nothing.
no.
And so that I prayed really hard and think something opened up for me to be able to take a small private plane and all, but just those surprises. And you never know
Yeah.
if something just is going to crash or if something is just going to open up and you're going to have this big opportunity that you never would have had. And just kind of the Wild West. It's rather uncontrolled, but and I just love the idea of, like, I live in a small, well, it's a neighborhood. There might be, like, I don't know, maybe um 500-600 homes in this neighborhood, and we have a market that in our neighborhood where
Mhm.
we can walk to it. It's like a couple blocks from my house, and
I
by
love
all the, like an open air farmers market, I guess you'd call it, with all the vegetables and stuff, and then there's little stores, little like neighborhood stores around. And so you could do anything on foot for all the little stuff. And then you could drive a little to get to supermarkets and stuff, because I'm in a rather large city. But just the fact that people, like you say, they're down to earth, they greet each other, and there's always room to be able to expect that something really good might happen. And people do take it the other way of being this the negative, that, oh, something horrible could happen at any time. Like, not wasn't horrible what yesterday morning, but before dawn somebody crashed into a pole and our lights were out in the morning because there's no electricity pretty much in the whole town. And so you
Yeah.
get these surprises. Um, but and power going out here is all the time,
Mhm.
probably at least once a week that we have some kind of a power outage. But
Yep.
it's just I think that kind of a Wild West feel, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you alive and having to think on your feet, like
Right.
be ready for just about anything. And so that's pretty much what that's kind of a weird answer, but that's pretty much
No,
what I
it's good.
best about being here. It's always new, it's always different.
Yeah. And one thing that I kind of learned about the culture down there in Mexico, and I'm sure it's very very similar to Guatemala, is they live day by day. They don't think about the past, they don't think about the future. They stay in the present and whatever's going on at that time. And if something does happen, like electricity goes out, or this happens or that happens, they don't go into a tizzy about it at all.
Go on. Yeah.
Yeah, they just, oh, well, that happened. Okay. You know, life is still going. Let's keep moving and, things like that. And I'm just like, wow, what a great perspective. I like that. I think that's the way we should be, but in the United States, it's not like that. Electricity goes out, there's people complaining left and right, you know. Um and I don't know, like maybe I can't think of any scenarios, but something happens over here or something happens over there. There's always going to be people complaining. Maybe there's people on the video complaining. Who knows? I mean, there's always somebody complaining. And down there, I don't notice that. And it's nice.
And
So,
it's really what you shared is really exactly what's even having like water, water, which is something that you open the. When I come here, I'm always amazed of having water that flows
mm,
whenever I want it, having
right,
electricity. People there, they don't, they will wake up at 3 a.m. to go pick up water, fill these bottles,
right.
and then ready to go to work or to school or whatever. Nobody complains. And yeah, it's a different way of like we became entitled in the West, like in
Yes.
Europe,
Mhm.
the US, the slightest thing, it's, will cry for it's the end of the world. But when you go on the other side, you see that it's different. It's a slower pace.
Yeah.
It's it is what it is. You crying or won't change what days. And yeah, they live day by day. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Let's just enjoy today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. And in a sense, you would think that we have it easier, but we complain more. And down there, Mexico, Guatemala, Africa, it's like they actually have it's in our minds, it's harder. They have a harder life, but they don't complain.
And they're happier.
Yeah, they are happier. They're more
Mhm.
at peace.
Yeah,
It's like they're more grateful for what they have.
yeah.
To
Yeah,
me, the life in the US is the hard life. It's
right,
not the easy
exactly.
life
Exactly.
because like you're here or Mexico or Africa, uh, what looks like it's hard is actually good for your mental health.
Exactly.
And the stuff in the US that looks like it's easy, I mean, I think of what's in the grocery stores in the US. I haven't really shopped in one for a long time, but all the things that, oh, Amazon. I've never lived in the US with internet because it was before that.
Right.
I've never lived with home delivery. You
Yeah,
order it online and get it. I order it online and I get it when somebody travels and brings it to me. But the things that seem like they're easier in the States, I think are actually making life harder for people in the
I
long run.
agree.
Sounds weird, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
harder.
I agree with that.
That's another thing I know that in the US, not only do people eat too much, but they spend too much
Yeah.
because it's so easy. And
Yeah.
like with the food,
Yeah.
the portions are enormous when you go to a restaurant or something, and
Right.
it's so expensive. And here, people think, oh, they don't hardly give you any food, but it's all you need.
Yeah, exactly.
But the people here when they come here to visit from the States, they go crazy at restaurants because it seems so cheap for them to get the food, and it's so good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Jazz, your question I have for you. What has been your favorite country so far that you've traveled to and why?
Wow. It's a very good question. I'm gonna have a hard time answering because everywhere I've been amazing. I've been amazing. I would say, do I have to choose one?
If you have two or three, that's fine.
Okay, I'd like to choose two in different continents.
Okay.
Thailand is a place that I really loved.
I want to go there.
I want to go back. The people were genuinely nice. I
Awesome.
felt safe. I traveled with my daughters that were teenagers, and we spent uh I don't know, maybe 10 days, 15 days. I can't remember how long we stayed there. It was an amazing time. I don't have anything negative that I can say. Life
Yeah.
is cheap, and you have like a lot of like cultural site, but at the same time, it's very modern at the same time.
Hmm.
And yeah, Thailand is a place that I would recommend people to go. People are very lovely, very
Nice.
nice, and it's a beautiful place to visit. And a place that I think is underrated in Africa, it's Benin. I didn't know about Benin at all. Benin is a small country in West Africa.
Okay.
And I went there just because, well, I was nearby. I had nothing, I didn't know at all. And I was wowed by that small country. Very beautiful. It's a coastal country. It's very small. It's not very big. It's also rich of culture and history. They have
Hmm.
the voodoo culture there. It's like a, how do you call it? Festival. It's a
Okay.
festival. The people are also, when you come from Central Africa, where I'm from, people are loud. People are in your face. They're really there. And Benin, people are so subtle. They're gentle. I was just amazed by the place. And yeah, I visited three different cities, and wherever I went, people were like inviting me to eat. They didn't know me, they will share their meal, whatever they had. It's just an amazing place, and they had beach that are just beautiful, beaches that are just beautiful. It's one of the place where I would advise solo travelers and first-time traveler to Africa to go.
Nice.
People will usually go to Kenya, to,
Hmm.
Safari Kenya, South
Right.
Africa. Not a lot of people know Benin, and maybe because it's a French-speaking country, but
Okay.
you will feel welcome,
Hmm.
and no one really bother you. They're very polite. It's an easy entry, and it's so rich that everything you can find everything there. So
Yeah.
yeah, Benin and Thailand, two amazing countries.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you. Wow. Yeah, I used to actually research Thailand because I want to go there and I'm like, oh, I could live in Thailand for the summer and and yeah. So
yeah,
that's not on our list right now, but maybe in the future.
I
yeah.
have friends there if you ever want to go.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You
Awesome.
visited Betty because you traveled a lot as well. Have you
We
visited
have
Thailand?
we have missionaries there in
Oh wow,
Okay.
a few
yeah,
different places. Yeah.
wow,
Nice.
yeah.
Very nice. That's awesome.
I'm just so looking forward to, see where this mission is taking you,
Same. I am ready to be back down there.
because you also will be maybe teaching also in,
Yes.
in English. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
would be amazing. Yeah,
that I don't know how long that'll take to get that put together, but yeah. So
yeah.
But
Okay.
okay, well, thank you, ladies. Appreciate this. And yeah, everybody, if you can go and check out their YouTube channels, that would be awesome. Betty, what is yours called?
Mine is called Betty C, Thriving Over 60.
Okay, and then Jazz, what's yours called?
Just Nomad TV.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay,
Uh,
so make sure to head on over and check them out as they do their own travels as well. And yeah, they're amazing to watch. So thank you.
thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Having us.
bye.
Bye.